Yo, what is up guys? Welcome to the day 33 recap of the 2016-2017 NBA season. All 30 teams played yesterday. All 30 teams. That means I have 15 games to cover. Wow. Let's just start. Alright, so there are 3 teams so far this season that are doing better than people expected them to do. And the New York Knicks, even though they're 8-7, are one of them. Yo, they're 8-7, but they started off the season 2-5, so that means they are like, what, 6-2 since then. Now, when Derrick Rose called this a super team over the offseason, people laughed. I kinda laughed myself, and it's still not a super team. It's still not a super team, but that doesn't mean that it's not a really good team. Yo, the Knicks are looking pretty freaking good. I mean, there's a lot of debate going on about whose team it is now. Is it Porzingis's? Is it still Carmelo's? It should be Porzingis's, and I do think it should be Porzingis's, but at the same time, as long as they're winning, it doesn't matter. If they're winning, just let them be, because it doesn't matter. I think they've won, what, like 3 games in a row, all over quality opponents. Of course, they beat the Hornets last night on a Carmelo's basically a buzzer beater, and a huge night. Yo, he had like, what, 35 points, 14 rebounds? Then they had beat the Blazers and the Hawks. Most people before the season started had them at, like, you know, hovering around the 8th seed or even out of the playoffs, and I know why. It was kind of hard to tell with this New York Knicks team. They could have been pretty good or they could have been really bad, and luckily for Knicks fans, it's looking like this lean towards the pretty good part. The only thing I think they really messed up on this offseason was Joakim Noah. They should not have given that man that big of a contract, if a contract at all. He is not a starting center anymore in today's NBA. He's never going to be the player he was. Joakim Noah is washed up. Other than that though, trading for Rose wasn't bad. That wasn't a bad trade. They unloaded the contract of Robin Lopez. They also got a draft pick. And if Rose didn't work out, it was a 1-year investment that didn't pan out. So, you know, it was basically a high reward, no risk trade. Another team that's doing better than people expected is the Houston Rockets. Yo, they attempted 53s last night. 53s, they made 21, so that's 42%, but still 53-point attempts. That's crazy. They did beat the Sacramento Kings, so I guess you could say that it worked too. Going into the season, people didn't have high expectations for the Houston Rockets. I mean, they had a terrible season last year, but that was more because of internal beef between James Harden and Dwight Howard, and the two not getting along, not being able to coexist on the court. But now that James Harden has his guy Clint Capella down at center, the Rockets have been pretty good. They're 10-6 so far on the year, and they're one of the best teams in the league. Not like one of the best teams in the league, like we're not talking about like Spurs, Clippers, Cavs, Warriors status right now. Maybe like Celtics, Raptors, you know, teams like that, you know, good teams, but not quite championship contenders. And of course, a lot of that has to do with James Harden. You know, he's almost averaging a triple-double on the year. He had a triple-double last night with 23 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. But Ryan Anderson and Eric Gordon have also been playing really good for the Rockets. They've managed to stay healthy, which is good, because that is one thing that was a question going into the season, is those two could stay healthy, and they both managed to stay healthy, and Ryan Anderson's having a pretty good season. He's averaging around 12 points, shooting 40% for 3, but that's because Ryan Anderson one of those players is either on or he's not. I mean, he's either hitting all of his shots or he's missing all of his shots. So, you know, as long as he's healthy, he's having a good year. Same with Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon is coming off the bench for the Houston Rockets, and he's doing a pretty good job at it. Averaging basically 15 points and shooting 40% from 3 as well. Those two guys are a nice pickup for the Houston Rockets. Well, like I said, they're still not championship contenders as of now, but they're not too far off. They only need a couple more pieces. Another team that people didn't think would do too well was the Chicago Bulls. I remember the Chicago Bulls fans, when I made the prediction video a long time ago, were getting laughed at, and they said, people said, quote unquote, they sucked. Well, they don't. I don't see how you could think a team with Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade on it would suck. It just doesn't add up unless Dwayne Wade gets injured, and you know, then it could possibly suck a bit. And Jimmy Butler and Dwayne Wade were both the reason the Chicago Bulls won last night, though. They each had 26 points. The Bulls are 10-6 on the year. There were a lot of questions going into the season that they're answering in one way or another. Like, they're 3-point shooting. Sure, they're still not the best 3-point shooting team, but they're a better 3-point shooting team than people had given them credit for going into the season. And their depth, sure, they're still not the deepest team, but they're managing to get wins. That's all that matters, right? The Boston Celtics put up a fight. They did put up a fight trying to win their 4th game in a row, but they fell a bit short against the San Antonio Spurs. And the Boston Celtics exploded in that first quarter, but you can't expect just because you dropped 32 points on the Spurs and go up by 10 that you're going to win, because that's just not how it works. The Spurs are a veteran team. They don't panic even when they're down 30. If they're only down 10, they basically still feel like they're winning that game. Kawhi Leonard had his usual good game. You know, he had 25 points and 10 rebounds. And Patty Mills, David Lee, and Bertans. Yo, this Bertans guy has earned himself a spot in this Spurs rotation after their last game. He had 15 points too. I'm just not quite sure where the Spurs find these players. In case you guys don't know, he was drafted back in 2011, the second round by Indiana. So he's a player that's basically come out of nowhere these past couple of games and provided a nice spark off the San Antonio Spurs bench. My Pistons won 2 games in a row. Yo, they actually beat a really good team last night, the Los Angeles Clippers, and I'm so happy to see that. Yo, KCP, keep doing what you are doing. Keep hooping out there. 16 points and 10 assists. You were in control out there. You weren't rushing. You weren't panicking like you normally do. You know, you were cool, calm, and collected. You were just like, I got this, and you had it. You had it. Good job, KCP. Andre Drummond, you kept flexing. I'm happy for you. You kept flexing, Andre Drummond. And Smith, you did something. You did something. You can stay on the team for now. Aaron Baines, I saw you out there trying to do stuff. Yo, just get the rebound. Stop shooting. You don't need to shoot. You were 2 of 7 from the field. You don't need to shoot anymore. Just get some rebounds, and maybe you can stay on the team. Just maybe. That's like the most balanced scoring game I've ever seen. Look at this. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope had 16. Ish Smith had 16. Andre Drummond had 16. Tobias Harris had 15. Marcus Morris had 17. Yo, balanced scoring. That's what I love to see. We don't have any superstars on this team. We don't have any guys to go out there and get you 30 points a night on this team. So what's it going to take? Some balanced scoring and some team play, and that's what they did, and I am happy. Raptors won their second game in a row last night over the Milwaukee Bucks. DeMar DeRozan had a really good game. Didn't go out there and drop like 35 like he had been doing early in the season, but he still had a really good game. He shot 50% from the field, had 26 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, and also had 4 assists. So, you know, he was really efficient. He was doing a little bit of everything out there, which is still a great game for DeMar DeRozan. I mean, he doesn't have to go out there and drop 30 points every single night. And then Kyle Lowry also had a good game with 19 points, 6 assists, and 5 rebounds, but it was just a team win for the Toronto Raptors. I mean, you had contributions from DeMarre Carroll, Jonas Valanciunas, Patrick Patterson off the bench. So, you know, just a really good team win for the Toronto Raptors to get things going after that rough stretch they had like last week. The Cleveland Cavaliers haven't cooled down at all, yo. They went on and pummeled the Dallas Mavericks, almost beating them by 40 points. Kyrie Irving was straight flames last night, yo. He had 25 points on 10 of 13 shooting. I think he started off the game like 8 for 8 or 9 for 9, so you know he was on fire. Then Kevin Love had another really good game, yo. It is nice to see Kevin Love finding his place in this Cleveland offense. It is really nice to see because they're going to need it. They didn't really have much Kevin Love last year, especially like in the postseason or anything. I mean, Love was just... he was basically a non-factor for the most part. He was still on fire. He was 7 from 9 from 3 last night. And this is looking like the Kevin Love we saw back in Minnesota. The Kevin Love that was arguably the best power forward in the NBA, and that's what you're getting from him now. And then LeBron James, of course, is just coasting. You know, this is still regular season LeBron, but he's still looking really good. He had 19 points and 11 assists last night, and he continues with his impressive passing. LeBron James is a better passer now than he's ever been in his whole career. I don't have anything nice to say about these Dallas Mavericks, though. They're just bad. I'm sorry, Dirk. Utah Jazz won again, and George Hill is the key to this team. Yo, George Hill in the game, Utah Jazz are winning. George Hill missing from the game, Utah Jazz are losing. He had another really good night last night, yo. 23 points. Yo, George Hill, where is this coming from? Indiana, you should not have traded George Hill. George Hill is the man. 23 freaking points, though. He's averaging over 20 points for this season. Did any of you guys think you'd be saying that from George Hill? I mean, at the beginning of the season when he was doing it, I'm sure a lot of you thought he would cool down. But now it's not looking like he's going to cool down at all. George Hill has just been scorching teams left and right, and then, you know, him and Gordon Hayward are becoming a nice duo, and of course you still have Rodney Hood. I mean, Rodney Hood didn't have the best game last night, but you know he's capable of setting flames to the court on any single given night. Rudy Gobert doing his thing down low, yo. Man had 10 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 blocks, so the wall strikes again. The Jazz's defense was just amazing. They only let the Atlanta Hawks score 68 points on 31% shooting from the field, yo. Russell Westbrook, that was a monster game, not even gonna lie, yo. You started out the game ice cold. You were like 1 of 8 or 1 of 9 from the field, and you finished 9 of 25, which isn't bad, but if you can take into consideration how cold he was at the start, it balanced out a bit towards the end. 36 points, 18 assists, 18 freaking assists, and 12 rebounds. And Victor Oladipo, you were out there doing your thing too. It was nice to see you have a pretty good game. He had 26 points and 7 assists, but the Thunder, that's the problem with the Thunder, yo. A monster freaking game from Russell Westbrook is what it took to get the win over the Denver Nuggets. Not saying the Nuggets are a bad team or anything, but when you have a guy doing the things that Russell Westbrook is doing, the game shouldn't go into overtime and they shouldn't be that close. The Thunder still do need to make some moves if they want to be like an actual threat when it comes to playoff time, but they will make the playoffs with the roster they have now. So if they don't make any moves, the Thunder will at least see the postseason, but If they want to advance in the postseason, something has to be done. And for the Denver Nuggets, yo, I like this young team. Jamal Murray had another solid game, so it's 2 solid games, and maybe he's like broken through the rookie wall already, and he's starting to shine now. Maybe he'll be the person to finally give Joel Embiid his run for his money when it comes to Rookie of the Year, because no one else really is doing it right now. The Portland Trail Blazers were back at home last night, and they broke their little losing streak. They needed to get off that road trip. That road trip was not good for the Portland Trail Blazers. They broke their losing streak, but they also broke the New Orleans Pelicans winning streak. The Pelicans were trying to win 5 in a row, and it just wasn't going to happen. Damian Lillard was having no part of it. Lillard and McCollum combined for 51 points, and that's, like I said, that's what it takes for the Blazers to win. Both those guys have to be on in order for the Blazers to win. They were both on last night, and the Blazers won. I mean, Damian Lillard, 27 points, 11 assists. TJ McCollum, 24 points. Anthony Davis was still a monster, yo. That man needs sucks. Once that man gets a team, it is a wrap. Once he gets an actually good team, it is a wrap, because he had 31 points, 13 rebounds, and 5 blocks. I understand that once he gets to like an actual team, like I said, those numbers will most likely go down, because right now he basically does have to do everything. So, but still, give him a team, and then that team will go very far. Luckily for the Lakers, you won't have to see the Warriors again to the last game of the season, and then when that happens, they most likely won't be playing their starters, so you basically had your fill of the Golden State Warriors this year. You got blown out again. You lost 109 to 85. But then again, the Lakers were missing 3 starters. Yo, no D'Angelo Russell, no Nick Young, and no Julius Randle. Yo, those have been like 3 of their best players this whole season when you combine them with Jordan Clarkson and Lou Williams. So, you know, you can kind of see this coming without 3 starters for the Lakers playing. So really not much to talk about here. Other than that, other games weren't too interesting, yo. The Washington Wizards went out and beat the Orlando Magic. John Wall had a nice double-double. Indiana Pacers bounced back, which is something they do. They're a very inconsistent team right now. They went out and pummeled the Brooklyn Nets, 118 to 97. Like I said, with Indiana Pacers, it's more about developing consistency now, winning on a nightly basis, and going out to destroying a team, coming back, getting destroyed. So, you know, you need to find some middle ground there. Deion Waiters, the Miami Heat beat the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Minnesota Timberwolves beat the Phoenix Suns. And that about wraps it up, yo. All 30 teams played last night. This is probably the longest recap I have ever done. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, smack that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You guys already know I'll be right back here tomorrow recapping all the action from tonight. So until then, keep getting the buckets, Team STC, and I'm out of here. Peace!